So escalators are a chain of events that tend to build up on each other, leading to sequences of either positive or negative outcomes. Reality transurfing teaches that when you engage with certain energies, whether positive or negative, you become aligned with lifelines that attract more events of the same kind. This is why small actions or seemingly minor events can escalate into larger outcomes. So, how escalators work? Momentum in reality. Think of escalators as events that snowball. Once a certain momentum builds up, similar events start happening automatically. If you start your day with positive thoughts, good small things like meeting kind people or avoiding delays will tend to build up on each other. Similarly, if you start the day frustrated, you might encounter a chain of negative events like missing on the bus, spilling your drink, or dealing with irritable people. Number two, aligning with positive escalators. You can consciously create positive escalators by being mindful of your initial state and energy at the beginning of a task, a day, or a project. When you intentionally engage with small positive actions like smiling, being kind, or performing well on a minor task, you kickstart a positive chain that will align you with favorable lifelines. And so the question here is how to use escalators for growth. Okay, so awareness at key moments. Number one, be aware that your reactions to seemingly small events can influence the direction of the escalator. If something bad happens, don't react emotionally, stay neutral to avoid feeding negative momentum. Seed positive events early. So start your day or any task with small, manageable successes to initiate positive escalation. Break negative chains quickly. If you catch yourself on a negative escalator, like experiencing a series of frustrating events, pause, breathe, and shift your attention to something neutral or positive. This interrupts the chain and prevents further escalation. Example, you stub your toe in the morning feeling annoyed, and then you have a stressful commute. If you recognize that you're on a negative escalator, you can consciously choose to shift your energy by focusing on something pleasant, like enjoying a coffee or listening to music. This shift helps you step off the negative escalator and onto a more positive path. Um, why? Because if you are in a negative state, it's basically what is true for you. If you are in a lucid dream, and imagine if you have the same negative state that you have when you are unconsciously reacting to negative circumstances or situations, or if you just get pissed off and irritated, imagine what would happen to you in lucid dreaming. You would attract instantly those negative events and even worse. So if you understand that everything is present, everything happens in the present moment, you would be very mindful and careful about it. Today, I was feeling frustrated. I was really feeling a little bit down, but then I stopped, I paused, and then I just remembered that everything happens now. And so now I feel good. And you kind of switch your attention into something positive. So number two, boiling the frog syndrome. So the boiling frog syndrome is a metaphor for the gradual involvement in negative circumstances without realizing the harm until it's too late. Reality transurfing warns about getting pulled into negative lifelines gradually, as pendulums, energetic structures, subtly draw you in. If you aren't vigilant, you might adapt and increasingly harmful situations over time, just like the frog that doesn't jump out of a slow boiling pot of water because the change is too gradual. So how does the boiling syndrome works? Gradual desensitization. So when negative changes happen slowly, you don't notice the harm right away. This could be a toxic relationship, bad work environment, or even series of bad habits. At first, everything seems manageable, but over time, you find yourself trapped in a situation you never intended to be in. Number two, the role of pendulums. Pendulums feed off your emotional energy and often lure you into negative situations gradually. A pendulum might start small, like complaining about work or obsessing over minor problems, and over time, this energy grows, dragging you deeper into negativity. And pendulum will not leave you until or unless it got most of your energy until you are drained and there is nothing to get out of you. Then the pendulum will drop you. So why not be smart and just outsmart the pendulum and just not give it your energy from the start. So how to stay aware and avoid pendulum traps. Stay present and evaluate your situation regularly. Periodically, take a step back and assess your current situation. Ask yourself, am I truly happy where am I right now? Are my habits or relationships pulling me into negativity? This self-awareness helps you catch negative patterns early. Number two, pay attention to subtle discomfort. If something feels slightly off, don't ignore it. The initial discomfort is often a signal that you are being drawn into a pendulum or a negative lifeline. Listen to your heart, guys. This is not a joke. Number three, act decisively. If you recognize that you're in a situation that is gradually becoming worse, act quickly to change your trajectory. Like the boiling frog, you must jump out of the pot before things escalate beyond control. How to avoid boiling frog syndrome. Set boundaries early. Protect your energy by setting clear boundaries in relationships and situations that could become toxic over time. Number two, detach emotionally from pendulums. When you feel the pull of a pendulum, like joining in on complaints or gossip, stay detached. The less energy you give to these patterns, the less they can influence your reality. Regularly shift your perspective. Every now and then, zoom out and evaluate your life objectively. Are you on a path aligned with your goals, or have you been pulled into something unwanted? If you have been pulled into something unwanted, means you have not been aware. If you are aware and you are awake, the less likely that pendulums, or basically circumstances of what's called life, are able to drag you, you know, to where you don't want to be in, right? So, example, you might take on an extra task at work thinking it's just temporary, but over time the workload increases, but you become accustomed to the stress. One day you realize you're burnt out, trapped in a situation that started with a small gradual change. So recognizing this pattern early helps you avoid falling into the trap. Conclusion: escalators and boiling frog syndrome both escalators and boiling frog syndrome teaches us that small events, whether positive or negative, can build momentum over time, profoundly influencing our lifelines. Escalators highlight the power of momentum, good or bad, and show us how to start small positive changes that can grow into significant success. The boiling frog syndrome warns us to stay vigilant, monitor gradual negative changes, and act before it's too late. By staying aware and intentional and managing your emotional energy, you can avoid negative traps and align yourself with positive lifelines. Remember, every moment presents an opportunity to step off a negative escalator or step into a more positive escalator. So, every small change in the right direction moves you toward a better lifeline. So, guys, I want to thank you so much for today, and I really hope you have a great time. So, remember, life is great, life is amazing. Focus on the good, and good will happen, and the good will smile back. Life is amazing, guys. Just be awake. If you ever see yourself, if you ever find, or if you ever notice that you are being asleep, that you doze off or you sleep on a waking life, wake up and work on yourself. The less you work on yourself, on your dreams, on your goals, the more likely that you are going to be somebody's pawn. And it's not a pleasant situation to be in, but basically, unless you want to. So I want to thank you again, and I will see you next time.